All right, it was around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and the orders kept coming at the McDonald's drive-thru, and Gen Z was getting pretty fed up of his work. And he said to me, I can't work here anymore. And I told him, it's like, I knew that from day one. This job doesn't pay enough for anyone to survive on. And so I thought to myself, if we're going to pay $15 an hour to a kid in high school who's not going to take the job seriously, or you're going to hire a middle-aged man who can't afford to take the job because he can't afford to work there, but he can't find anything else. He's a desperation worker. Whether you're in high school or you have a family, the wages don't work for you. What would I do with a person that shows up to work with the attitude of, I don't want to work here and I'm not going to try and I don't care? And that's more and more the attitude we're seeing in America at these jobs. Any job that doesn't pay a living wage is a job that nobody cares about because you can't afford to take that job. But desperation means you have to take it because there's nothing else. When you scroll through Indeed all day, like I do, looking for work, and all you see is jobs under $20 an hour, you have to ask yourself, who can afford to take these jobs? And the answer is no one. When the wage isn't living, it's not a job. Working at McDonald's and turning every job into McDonald's is something that I just never thought that I'd live to see. Because when I think back to when I was starting out in the workforce and I thought about people who made what I make now and how much better, how much more comfortable their lives were, they had the ultimate job security. And we don't have that anymore. Every job has become something that no one wants to do. And not so much because nobody wants to work anymore. It's just because nobody can afford to work anymore. And I think that mentality of being completely demoralized in the workforce in general, it's not just about your job, it's about everyone not having enough money in order to survive. Today's payday. And if I look at my bank account at how many payments have already been taken out, I practically have nothing. The only thing I have to look forward to on payday is the next payday and then the next one. So with that said, let's get into our monologue really quick. They tell us that hard work is the key to success. But if that were true, the hardest working people wouldn't be the brokest. The rich don't wake up at 6 a.m., drag themselves to a soul-crushing job, and pray that their paychecks last till the end of the month. They sit back while their money multiplies without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, we're expected to grind endlessly, accept low wages, and be grateful for the privilege of struggling. So tell me, if the rich don't work, why are you still breaking your back for pennies? It's simple. It's called survival. The proletariat has been in survival mode for decades, and the wages and conditions aren't going to get any better. Your McPaycheck was never designed for you to be able to build a life with it. It was designed in order to give you just enough money to keep you alive, give you enough gas to get to work, and provide a little shelter. I woke up this morning and there's like 12 cockroaches climbing around um, in my kitchen, and I thought, you know what, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. This is the best housing that I can afford, and this is awful. And then you think about then I look out my window at my Promobile and I think that's the car I have to drive today. And then I think about arriving at my soul crushing job in 2 hours and I'm like, who can live like this long term? And I say this to myself all the time, is that I'm not alive anymore. The comments for my videos are getting darker and darker every day. Is that more and more of us are realizing that the only hope we have is the rope. The rope is all we have. And there's nothing else to escape to. And you wonder why so many people are choosing to get home from work and instantly become severely intoxicated or whatever your substance is. Because there's nothing else to look forward to. It's either the rope or the booze or zoning out looking at entertainment that it just takes away your mind. It blocks out the pain of your soul crushing job. Because most of us don't have relationships. We don't have anyone that cares about us. We don't care about anyone else. And we're trapped alone in our little boxes. And with that said, let's transition to my first talking point. The rich make money without working. You work without making money. So, the working class is stuck in a paycheck to paycheck cycle, trading hours for survival while the CEO and investors profit off their labor. This is what I don't get. The corporate people, even at my current evil corp, spend their money on ridiculous things, but the average worker cannot get a pay raise. And well, yesterday at work was kind of like a cluster F of just one disaster after another. And I just couldn't handle it. At some point, I just threw my hands up in the air and told myself, this is ridiculous what they're asking me to do for this amount of money. I'm like, I'm running my own department while doing support, while doing purchasing, while doing janitor work, cleaning a closet. You're just like, how is this possible that we're working this hard to live stuck in a paycheck to paycheck world? Like, there's nothing left over. There's no leisure. The food we eat tastes like absolute booty. Yesterday, I didn't have time to go to lunch, so I just stopped at a pizzeria place and I got some lasagna. It took forever for them to make it. And it was almost $20. And I got back to my office. I sat down. I took one bite. And I'm like, this is disgusting. This is truly gross. And I was thinking, I'm out $20. I have to eat this. I can't just throw it away. It's not like I just bought a $2 to go fast food thing. No, this was $20. And you're sitting there and you're eating this and you're thinking to yourself, this is what my life tastes like. I'm taking bites out of my own life, but at the same time, I'm every time I take a bite out of my life, I'm throwing it up because it tastes so bad. Every aspect of the proletariat's life is so bad we want to puke it back up because you can't tell me that that turd is good for me. Everything about being poor sucks in America. And the worst part is that you're poor, but you're working harder than you ever have in your life. Doing the job of two, three, four people isn't uncommon anymore. Having to do just your job isn't possible. They want you cleaning. They want you doing administrative work. They want you doing the work of the other people that are supposed to be in that office. And I think this has a lot to do with a return to work mandate. They can't make you clean the floor if you're sitting at home in your tidy whities. They need you in the office to exploit you more. And that's what I personally believe is the reason why they're trying to get people back into the office. Because yesterday I was watching a video of a guy who was talking about not being a smuck at work. And this is really what it comes down to. When you're in the office, they can tell you, hey, by the way, we need you to work on the weekend and stay late tonight. And a regular person will be like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. And the people that are going to move up in the company are going to social events. They're liked by other people. The people that they can force into doing all this extra work are the people that are desperately afraid of losing their job. So you give Susie Rottencrotch extra work to do, while your favorite employees, well, you go out to have lunch with them. And you have that person that just will always take on extra work. We have someone like that in my current department. is that guy that will take on the amount of work that no one else would do. He works till 10 o'clock at night. He works on weekends. He works all of the time. And the worst part is he doesn't get paid a penny extra after 5 p.m. But you're never going to see that guy stop working anytime before midnight. And you ask yourself, it's like, why does he do it? Desperation, fear, the fear of being replaced. And I myself, it's like I got to 5 o'clock yesterday, and one of the salespeople said, "Hey, we have a sales woman who's coming in because her system is failing." And I had been getting phone calls from the people around her since Monday. And this person's been told repeatedly to come into the office because she needs to get a working system. She flat out refuses. Yesterday, when I walked over to the manager of the salespeople, I asked him, it's like, hey, you told me that this person was going to be here before 5 o'clock. It's 5:15, and I haven't seen them. And he's like, I just called them, and they don't want to come into the office. And I'm like, and then he just looked at me with this puzzled look on his face, like, hey, if you can't control your people and they don't want to come into the office, then what are you supposed to do with them? I mean, a lot of people at this company are going to be given the option of either coming back or losing your job. And it's a tough work economy out there. The only reason we still have people in my area is because that economy out there is vicious. Gen Zero has been looking for a better job since the day he started and realized that this job wasn't for him. But finding anything is very, very difficult. And especially finding something that pays you more than you're currently making. Because most of us are making crap wages, and we're going to go make crap wages at another company where we may start and then get laid off within 6 months, or start and get fired because someone doesn't like us at that other company. But I'm off on a tangent. Let's get back to talking point number two. The richest people aren't the hardest workers. They're the ones who own the system. And this is it. Most people, most policymakers in government are so out of touch with ordinary people, with what the cost of milk is, what bread costs, what ham costs. Like when you walk into a place to buy things, a rich person isn't going to think about these things. They probably don't even know how to shop in a grocery store because they have people who do these things for them. Ordinary people that do these types of things for the very rich people. And this means that they're always going to be out of touch. They don't understand how terrible the life is of the person who's stocking shelves at the Kroger's. And honestly, they don't care. If the people at the top of the Kroger's Corporation have shown a callous disdain for the people working in their stores, can you imagine another rich person walking in there and just looking at you as if you were some sort of bug? That's how we're perceived. We're no different than human cockroaches to the elite class, a necessary pest within our society. But if they didn't have to see us, they would put out roach poison for all of us because they have made it very clear that they do not like us. They don't care about where we live. They don't care about what we can afford to buy. They're humans, poor humans, are a resource on this planet that is meant for one thing: exploitation, and to be disgusted by them. And I can understand that. Poor people are gross. You look at poor people and they're not attractive. They're not well, a lot of them aren't very well educated. And many of them are chocked full of toxic positivity about their lives. And that video that I was going to make yesterday was going to be a lot better. I just got up this morning at 5 and I just didn't feel it. Just didn't feel like making that video. And I thought about this because this video that you guys are currently seeing was based on a comment where someone said that I should stop talking about greedy corporations. And I thought to myself, you know what, this person's the problem in our society. People who believe that you have freedom. You can choose not to be poor. The reality is poverty chose you a long time ago, and it's never going to let you go. Talking point number 3. The rich need a desperate workforce willing to accept low pay. The second you get too comfortable, you're a threat to their profits. This is why they can't pay you enough. If they paid you too much, well, why wouldn't you start your own company and compete against them? If you had the financial resources to own your own business and exploit your own people, you would. That's why when a rich person or a person that's completely has no idea what it's like to be poor walks up to a poor person and tells them to start a job or start a business or work for themselves, you just look at them like, do you think I would be here if I could do anything else? And that's what I see. That's the desperation I've seen in my Gen Zeros since uh, for the last few years. It's like, would I be here at McDonald's with you working the drive-through if I could be anywhere else? And that's what we don't talk about. It's like how stuck the proletariat is at the bottom. There is no upward movement. There are no careers. It's just a crummy job. Every day you show up and you do the same crummy job for the same crummy wages for a crummy corporation and an even worse manager that guilt trips you all day long into working harder. In fact, when I worked at Walmart, there was this one expression that all the managers used when they would come and find a millennial steam working. Doesn't Walmart pay your bills? Shouldn't you be grateful to Walmart because it pays your bills and keeps you off the street and makes certain that you have food? And you just look at that person who's saying this to you and you think, you know what? You're poor too. You should go say what you're saying to me to yourself in the mirror and see how that makes you feel. Because it's disgusting to tell poor people that they should be grateful to a system that underpays them and keeps them in toxic workplaces, desperate for enough resources to survive one more day. All right, so our final talking point is usually one that I avoid, but today I'm feeling feistier than normal. The only way to win is to stop playing their corporate game. If millions of people realize they don't have to work under these conditions, the entire economy would shift overnight. This is a message that I've been bringing to YouTube for years, maybe even 10 years, or however, I think I'm about to turn 19 years old on YouTube. I'm an original YouTuber, guys. 19 years I've been on YouTube. And I've been saying this for the past 5, 10, 15 years. It's time for the proletariat to grow a spine, grow a pair, and stop. Because otherwise, the rich don't want to work. You know, as much as they look down from their ivory towers and say nobody wants to work anymore, the rich are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. The rich don't actually work. They use their slaves in order to enrich themselves. Exploitation, gaslighting, uh, filling you with toxic positivity that you just need to try harder because the more effort you put into your job, the greater the profits for the rich guy, not for the person busting his home. So you might as well use that energy in order to push back against a system that's hell bent on keeping you in that job for as long as possible, generating record profits for people that don't work.